Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a look at r/best of Redditor updates. It is so cold right now. It started snowing outside just now and it's freezing. So wrap up in a nice warm blanket, get comfortable. And if that sounds like something you'd be interested in listening to with me today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Okay then, so this one was posted by Direct Caterpillar 77 and the title is I allowed my 17-year-old sister to move in with me, CT to NY, Dad is threatening me with kidnapping charges. Okay. So Direct Caterpillar, of course, is not the original poster. They are the person who compiled it all into Best of Redditor updates for us, like a lovely little bean. The original poster is u/SD Chibi, and we have some trigger warnings for neglect, abandonment, extortion, fraud, mentions abuse, struggles with mental health. Okay, originally posted July 24th, 2018. Sorry for the huge post. Last year, April 2017, my sister, then 17 and living in CT with our mother, dropped out of high school and came to live with me. I live in NY State, Albany area. My mother is disabled by mental illness and in a condition was neglecting my sister and my older brother that lived there, disabled with autism, was physically abusive towards both of them. According to the custody agreement in my mother and father's divorce in 2006, it was Dad that was supposed to be the custodial parent, and my mum was supposed to be paying him child support and getting weekly visitation. My sister lived with Dad and his then girlfriend, now wife, for about 3 years, and then sent her to live with Mum. However, Mum never got the support order changed, but worked out an agreement with Dad. She got to keep the SSI money that was my sister's benefit instead of it being forwarded to Dad for support, and he kept her on his health insurance. When my sister came to live with me last year, Mum told me she would send the benefit money on to me for taking care of my sister. She didn't. Dad kept her on his health insurance but refused to pay anything towards her online high school course when asked, saying he didn't have any money to spare. So I'm paying it because she needs a high school education and it's only $50 a month. This year, my sister turned 18 and is almost finished with her online courses and has started looking for a job but is considering trade school. So proud of her. She will be staying with me until she can afford to move out. My wife and I have agreed to that and have no problem with that. In NY, child support can be received up to age 21. I'm gonna guess NY is New York? Maybe? I'm guessing because like the use of dollars, and that's the only one I know that has NY. I have never been to America, so I don't really know. So I filed a petition for child support for Mum and for Dad through NY State, and the county court here sent out notices to them to appear for a court date. Dad received his yesterday and called me up and asked me why I was doing this to him. Told me I need to drop the case because it's going to ruin him financially and that technically what you did was kidnapping because nobody asked him permission when my sister was moving from CT to NY to live with me when the court order still says that she's supposed to live with him, but that he didn't want to go down that route because it's low, but that it's low of me to bring him to court about child support. I'm sorry, but how is he going to have a leg to stand on saying, oh yeah, it was kidnapping because she's supposed to live with me, when he literally sent her off to live with the mother who had been found to be neglecting them in the first place? So my question is, do I need to worry about being arrested for kidnapping? I doubt it, highly. Would I be better off dropping the child support case? TLDR, filed for child support against both parents after taking in my little sister. Dad said to drop the case and he'll overlook the kidnapping. If I was the OP, I would try and get somewhere in writing where he says, oh, if you pursue this, then I will, go for you for kidnapping. Because it shows what he is really bothered about then, doesn't it? It shows he doesn't care about having the kid with him. He literally just cares about not having to spend that money. So, relevant comments. Brick 0000000. says, "You do not need to be worried about being arrested for kidnapping because you never kidnapped her. You looked after your sister and went above and beyond for her. Your dad, quite frankly, is unsurprisingly an idiot. Imagine being a police officer and getting called to a kidnapping charge where the girl is happy to be there, was given permission by the current parent, is now 18 years of age, and was given an opportunity to get an education. The kidnapper is a family member who allows her to come and go as she pleases, and the complainant is a deadbeat dad. And said father said he would overlook said charge for a financial gain. Be proud of what you have done and who you are as a person." Exactly. And then the OOP says, "Thank you for the reassurance and the kind words." And then Der Spinny says, "So, extortion? The police aren't going to get involved in a kidnapping where the victim was a consenting 17-year-old at the time, and neither parent thought to report it after she reached the age of majority. The threat is largely empty. If by some miracle the police do want to talk to you about this, don't respond with an attorney and tell them frankly, but politely, that you are not going to speak to them without one. But otherwise, relax. Personally, I would overlook your father's threats and ignore them, but however you choose to proceed, there's no point in engaging with them. The rest of this will be worked out in the hearing about support." And then OOP says, "This is also what I was thinking, but I'm prone to anxiety." Oh, I hear you so bad. "And think I just needed to hear it from other people that aren't emotionally involved in the issue themselves. Thanks for the answer." And then L Convict says, "Adding on to the previous poster, the only way the police would stay involved is if you press charges for extortion, which would be well deserved. Although, I'd suggest just cutting that jackass out of you guys' lives altogether." Yeah, honestly, same, because I do think that nothing good for the OP would come from pursuing that kind of route. I think they'd just be prolonging a load of headache for themselves. And then the OOP says, "I don't plan on pressing charges. I was really hoping it wouldn't get nasty, but here we are. I hate how money issues turn family members against each other. I think he feels I'm being vindictive because my sister hasn't had a good childhood. While I am very angry about how my sister was treated by our parents, I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm just trying to make sure my sister can get what she needs." And then update August 27th, 2018, 1 month later. "So, I had my day in court today for the child support hearing. Dad actually showed up for the court instead of using the option of conference call like my mother did. I am actually quite surprised by that, I must say. My sister, unless it was an intimidation tactic actually. My sister, let's call her Valerie, wanted to sit in the courtroom in case the judge had any questions for her in particular. He didn't, but I'm proud of how brave my sister is for going to court when she didn't have to, because I could feel my heart beating in my throat the entire time." The judge started out by saying that he was unsure if a support order could be issued today given that Valerie is now 18 and in CT would be ineligible, but in NY would be eligible until 21. But then began asking some questions. Yeah, that's quite convoluted, isn't it? I wonder how they're going to figure that one out. Dad did a lot of talking at first, mostly saying how he had a court order that gave him full custody of Valerie and that Mum was supposed to be paying him child support. Then he said how Valerie dropped out of high school and left the state to live with me without telling him or getting his permission, and how he didn't know for a month after the fact. He's just dropped himself in it right there. Because that judge is going to turn around and go, "What the hell did you mean you didn't know about it for a month when you've just told me she was meant to be living with you?" He complained that Mum never speaks to him about anything, that I make no effort to have a relationship with him, and that Valerie doesn't either. Boo-hoo. We're all ganging up on him and he doesn't know what he did to deserve it, etc. Sure enough, as a few of you kind folks mentioned, the judge asked him, "Why didn't you know where she was for a month if she was supposed to be in your custody?" Exactly. He then says that she was staying with her mother at the time, but that she would have had a place with him and still does have a place with him if she had asked. At that point, sick of hearing him play the victim, I piped up and asked as calmly as I could manage, Why didn't she have a place with you 9 years ago when you dropped her off at Mum's house, didn't tell her you weren't coming back for her, and then got rid of all of her belongings? My mother on the phone confirmed what happened and said that she asked me if I could take in my sister because of my brother's violent behaviour early in 2017. Valerie was 17 at the time that she moved to NY and is still attending high school to earn a diploma, better late than never, and I've been her sole source of support ever since. The judge then reviewed the guidelines for monetary support. My mother, being disabled and on social security, was to pay no more than $50 per month for support. Dad was to pay no more than 17% of his income, which translated to roughly about $800 per month. The judge asked me what amount I was looking for. My answer was that I just wanted some help with the groceries and her medical bills, so I asked for a total of $250 from Dad and the max of $50 from Mum. Dad tried to haggle me down to $200 per month because he just bought a house last year. You should have seen the look on the judge's face. The judge reminded him that the guidelines recommended $800 a month, and I held firm on $250. Dad sighed and said he'll have to give up smoking to afford it. This is supposed to make me feel bad? The judge made the order for support effective until age 21, and I never did get in trouble for allegedly kidnapping my sister. Thank you to everyone here that gave me encouragement to see this through and not fall for Dad's intimidation tactics. TLDR, I didn't get in trouble for taking in my little sister, and a court order for child support was issued. Good, I'm glad you got in front of a good judge, because sometimes the stories you hear, especially from the US, when it comes to custody hearings and stuff, like the worst people being granted custody that really shouldn't, and some of the stories are wild, but then again, it's such a bigger place, so I suppose you're gonna get that, aren't you? Down in the comments, Big O Nerd says, Dad is threatening me with kidnapping charges. Dad is just an incompetent POS. OOP took his job of raising and parenting. Giving up smoking to afford it. Lol, what an unhinged person. And then Charlotte Lucas OP says, how dare his children expect to eat on his dime? Daddy needs his smokes. Honestly, it's wild that he would, in a courtroom, turn around and be like, oh, suppose I'll have to give up smoking then. Like, mate, do you hear yourself right now? Seriously. Do you hear how ridiculous you sound? I'm not sure you do, because wow. Okay, so I don't think we have time for another full Best of Redditor Updates post, so I'm going to do one or two Am I Overreactings that I've got on here saved away. So this one was posted by a deleted user, and it says, 25F, my overzealous religious mum freaked out because I'm pregnant. Am I overreacting? Oh, here we go. Title is self-explanatory. I blocked her since this conversation, and I preemptively blocked my dad because he's just as crazy. If you've ever seen Carrie, I basically have a mum like that. Maybe not as bad, but you get what I mean. Now, I have seen old version of Carrie, if you are talking about the horror film. But I don't do horror films, surprisingly. I can read horror books, but I can't watch horror films. Very odd, I know. So I can't quite remember what the mum was like, because I'm pretty sure that film traumatized me. My parents both grew up as strict Christians in strict Christian households in Arkansas. They'd moved to New Hampshire by the time they had me, and they never grew out of it. Honestly, I don't care if I lose them both. I have a bundle of joy on the way and a loving partner. Besides, I'm an adult, and it's about time I start taking control of my own life. This is the problem with parents like this that try and push their own beliefs onto their kids. They will lose them eventually. You can't expect your kids to believe everything you do. It's crazy. Anyway, let's read the text, shall we? So the mother is in grey and the OP's in blue. This is shameful and shocking news. Lord forgive her Lord forgive her, for she knows not what she does. 1 Thessalonians 4:3. It is God's will that you should be sanctified, that you should avoid sexual immorality. As above, fornication is a sin, and we did not raise you to throw away your life like this. We tried so hard to steer you down the right path, and then you've let liberalism take over. Your father will be hearing about this. You know what? You. I'm not a child anymore, Mum. I am no longer the spineless little girl who was once too scared to even tell her parents that she was on her period. Me and Blank love each other. We don't care how you feel, how Dad feels. I'll kick you out of our lives if it means we are happy and my baby is healthy. I called you thinking that you'd be happy, but I thought wrong, huh? And then Wicked Mother of the West replies, "You will not talk to me like that. I curse you. I curse you to 1,000 hells. I refuse to be a willful participant in all that is ungodly and unholy. I therefore wash my hands of this situation." And then the OP just sends a rolling eye emoji and says, "I am so over this, and I don't blame you whatsoever." Could you imagine sitting there saying, "This is ungodly and unholy," when you believe that your God has made the entire world, everyone in it, and the way that they then reproduce? Why would he make that a thing if he didn't want people to do it, you know? It's so silly. It really is. So then down in the comments, Cruddy Poet 00 says, "The irony of her refusing to participate in anything unholy, all while cursing you to 1,000 hells, literally." Do you know what? Why not? We'll do one more Am I Overreacting? So this one was posted by Yes Abbreviation 713. Am I overreacting for eating my own birthday cake in front of my nephew? So, it was my birthday yesterday. I'm 20s, living at home right now with my parents to save money. My sister Kayla came over for dinner with her 4-year-old son Leo. Quick context, Kayla is extremely strict about Leo's diet. Like, no processed sugar, no dyes, basically no fun food ever. I think it's a bit much, but I usually just stay out of it. I bought myself a really nice expensive chocolate cake for my birthday. I didn't ask anyone else to pay for it. I just wanted a specific one from a local bakery. After dinner, I bought it out. Kayla immediately got tense. She asked me why I couldn't have waited until they left to bring it out. I told her it's my birthday dinner and I wanted cake. My parents were having fruit, but I sat down and started eating a slice. Leo obviously saw it and started asking for some. Kayla told him no, it's yucky and bad for him. He started crying because, well, he's 4 and it's a giant chocolate cake. Kayla lost it. She called me a brat and said I was taunting a child and disrespecting her parenting by eating it in front of him. She ended up grabbing her stuff and leaving early while Leo was still sobbing. Now my mum is saying I shouldn't have done that and should have just waited an hour to eat my own cake to keep the peace. I feel like I'm going crazy. It's my house, well, my parents' house, but I live here, and my birthday. Am I actually overreacting by thinking she's being insane? No, I don't think so, to be honest. Now, would it have been like the nicest thing to do to wait until the kid had gone, knowing that they can't have any? I mean, yeah, maybe. But are you obligated to do that? No. If she doesn't want her kid having chocolate or sweets or anything fun, any fun food ever, that is her decision, but she can't control what other people eat when he's in their presence. And I genuinely think it's quite a dangerous game to play to be so restrictive with children's food options, because they are going to come into contact with those other food options at some point, and it's going to be this big taboo thing, and there's going to be 2 ways that it might go. 1, an ED of restriction, or 2, an ED of binging. I have actually known people who've had restrictive parents who were really strict around food when they were kids, and I've seen it play out both ways, either the restricting severely when they're an adult or binging severely when they're adult, because they're never taught just balance and control in a way of, you know, in a healthy way, you can have a little of that, but you also need to make sure that you're eating a good amount of the healthy stuff to balance out when you're having, you know, some treats and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a bit of a disservice to do to not teach kids that balance. Anyway, down in the comments, Judy McJudgeson says, so she's not going to let him go to other kids' birthday parties? Or is she going to demand those kids wait until her precious baby leaves to have their cake too? Your sister is an idiot. And then Beau Shaw says, your sister is an idiot. This. Sure, she has the right to raise her child the opposite of the entire planet. However, she does not have the right to force the entire planet to change for a child. And this is the other thing, it kind of excludes the kid from ever being involved in anything fun, with parties and going round to friends' houses, things like that. It is quite an exclusionary way to bring your kid up. Now, again, people are more than welcome to do it. No one can sit there and be like, you're awful if you only want your kid to eat healthy stuff, because I understand that it's coming from a place of wanting your kid to be healthy, wanting the best for them. On a psychological level, though, I do think bringing a kid up with heavy restrictions around food is probably not the best thing to do. Like, me and my siblings were brought up with my mum continuously being on a diet, going on about how she's on a diet, having massive restrictions around food, and all of that lot. And yeah, I mean, it caused issues with all of us, let's just put it that way. So then Halosaurus says, yeah, if she really wants a kid to not have sweets, that's fine. That isn't the issue. The issue is how she goes about it. She's doing no one any favours with how she is doing this. Everyone now just feels shitty. First, she also needs to get help to teach a child how to regulate, which means she needs to regulate herself first and manage not having what others have. She just wants OP to wait to make it easier for herself, not for the kid. I say this as a relatively new parent of a toddler and a therapist. She has shown her kid that if you don't get what you want, in the case of OP not to eat cake in front of her kid, you can throw a tantrum. Yeah, I don't think the OP was a massive butthole here. Like I say, could they have waited? Maybe. Should they have to because of someone else's choices of what they will or won't eat? No, not really. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for today. If you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give it a like, subscribe, notifications on, that is your initiation into the Coven of Void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye. Oh, and don't forget an offering of a comment for Big Al.